Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a brand new video. So by the title of this video, you guys already know what happened. And if you don't know, a few months ago, I was in Italy for work. I was actually supposed to be there for 5 months for a project, but I was in a really bad... It's weird to talk about it because I have sat down to film this video twice already in the past, like around January, and I just was not ready to talk about it. I know that may seem a little dramatic, but for me, I've never been through anything extremely traumatic. I've never been in a car accident, I've never caused a car accident, I didn't cause one this time. But I never thought that they were that serious. And when I opened up about it a little bit on Instagram stories when it happened, I got a lot of responses of people saying like, yo, take care of yourself, this is super traumatic, especially on your body, it's very stressful to your brain. But I think the way I was brought up, especially by my parents, was to kind of like get over things. It's not that it was unhealthy growing up, but I wasn't ever taught to take the time and really just feel what you need to feel. Therapy was not like a thing for me in my childhood. That came up later in life, in college and afterwards. So I was definitely going through some shit, for lack of better words. I'm having a little tea because my throat kind of hurts. I'm here in Montana at my house. That's why you guys may not recognize the background or anything. But yeah, I'm here working on the house. Okay, so anyway, a little bit of the backstory. I was in Italy for work. I was lucky enough to be working with a really big brand. That stuff will be coming out later this summer. And then I had another project in Italy about 2 months later. So I'm like, I might as well just stay. Like, why would I go back home? You know, I had really been missing travel, and I think post-breakup, it was really nice to just be out of America and just like experiencing new food and cultures and people. And all of my family lives in Italy and Romania, so it was nice to see some of my cousins, and so kind of just like bopped around from city to city. So I decided to go to Lake Como because it had been a dream of mine to go for a really long time, and this was in November, shoulder season, really quiet, not a lot of tourism, kind of cold. I rented this really cute cottage. Later on in the video, I'm gonna include that cottage just because of the story I'm about to tell you and how wonderful the hosts were. Really sweet little cottage right on the water. It was beautiful. Got to go swimming, got to go in the sauna. It was really nice. So this actually happened the day I was getting to Lake Como. And if you haven't heard of Lake Como before, it is a lake in one of the most northern parts of Italy, about 2 hours north of Milano. Very, very beautiful, very like celebrity hotspot in the summertime. George Clooney has a house there. I think Gaga has a house there. It's a huge, huge lake with all these beautiful historical architectural homes, and it's stunning. It's a hotspot in the summertime, but in the fall, all the rich people leave and it's quiet, and all that remain are like the local people who are wonderful. So you can boat around, go to restaurants, whatever. So I thought it would be a great place to just go and write for a little bit and just like mellow out in between jobs. So I drove up, I had a rental. I'm super comfortable driving anywhere. You guys know me, I love road trips. I love just driving around anywhere. It clears my head. I love the views and the sights and everything. Driving doesn't scare me. And in Italy, like I speak pretty well Italian, so I can definitely get by. I'm super comfortable. So yeah, I was driving. I ended up missing my exit. When you miss an exit around the lake, it's a huge lake. You have to drive like another 20 miles round trip because there are no like crossover exits. So anyways, I did the crossover exit 20 miles later, turned around, and I was going super slow because I am, you know, I am a very courteous driver, especially on those roads. They're very, very small around the lake. You can't drive fast. Like, it's literally impossible to. If you do, like, you know, you might tip over your car and end up in the lake. And it's a rental. Like, I was driving even more careful than I normally would back home here in America. So I'm driving around this bend, right? And there were like 2 cars behind me. I keep going, maybe like another 10 minutes. It's like a very, very long bend around a lake. And at this point, nobody's behind me. I didn't see anybody behind me at all. I was probably going like 30, 35 miles per hour. So my GPS starts signaling me that, you know, my destination is gonna be on my left. I look at the map, I'm like, oh, I looked at the map before and I said, oh, okay, so the house is on the right-hand side, which is the side of the lake, and they actually have a garage on the left-hand side of the lake because there's not a lot of room when you build houses on the lake like that. So I'm like, okay, so I need to park my car in the garage on the left side and then cross over with my bags and walk to the house on the right side. So I'm going super slow. I know the house is upcoming on the left, but I couldn't really see it. It was like a hidden driveway. My signal's on. I'm probably about 200 or 300 feet away. All of a sudden, everything goes black. And I honestly didn't really think. I had no idea what happened. At this point, I was knocked out. I truly had no idea what happened. I woke up a few minutes later and my head was to the side, and I remember my shoulder, this is my injured shoulder, being pushed all the way like this, and my body was contorted, and I just remember really sharp pains on my left side, and I woke up and there was like dust all around me. I'm like, what happened? Because I'd never been in a car accident like this before. I had no idea what was going on. All the airbags around me were deployed. I was driving an Audi, which is the car I have in America, but it was a small European version. And Audis are super safe cars, so I was super excited to have one. And I'm like, oh my God, I was in a car accident. What is going on? This is so insane. And I'm this far from a telephone pole and a rock wall. My car had been T-boned, so the last thing I remember was preparing to take the left. So I clearly had taken the left. No cars were coming. I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to cross right when there's a car coming. I had already been signaling. So I was turning into the driveway, taking a left, and that's the last thing I remember. Not even turning was the last thing I remember. The last thing I remember was signaling to turn, and that's it. So I was clearly knocked out for a minute. I still don't really remember everything now. It's still a little foggy for me. But the car was essentially pushed, I don't know if it was 30 feet or 20 feet down the road into an embankment. I was T-boned by somebody driving behind me. I didn't even see anybody driving behind me. So what happened was there was a car behind me, and then there was another car behind that car. That car had illegally passed the car behind me and was speeding so fast to pass me again, and allegedly they didn't see my turn signal when my turn signal was still on. Even post-car accident, the turn signal was still on. So he was going probably like 70 or 80 miles per hour. I turning right, the car T-bones me on my side and pushes me 20 feet down the road, almost into a telephone pole. It was hands down the scariest experience of my life because I had no idea what happened. I was in so much pain, I still had no idea. So at this point, I couldn't move. I was like, I had never experienced this before. If anybody has ever been in a car accident or has had any traumatic accidents, like please share it down below, because I truly had no idea what was going on. Like I couldn't move my body. Like my eyes were moving and I could finally was breathing after I woke up, but I could not move. So I was there for probably like 30 to 60 seconds before I could even think about getting out of the car. It was absolutely insane. But other than the pain, I really felt nothing. So I get out of the car's steaming. There's another car next to me. I'll put up pictures. Total front end damage. Like the entire car was gone. It was 100% totaled. My car, it looked like it had been in a wreck, obviously, but since it was only hit from that side and I never actually hit the telephone pole or that stone wall, it was like, okay. But the tire was super turned in, so I'm like, okay, this car's totaled now. I'm bawling my eyes out because I just was so confused. I had no idea. The guy gets out of the car and he's laughing, and I'm super confrontational and super aggressive when something happens that's not my fault. So I'm not mouthing off to this guy. I'm like, what the yeah, I guess I was mouthing off to this guy in Italian. Like I said, I can get by in Italian. So he's mouthing off to me. He senses that I'm American. Thank God the people behind me were from a neighboring town and they saw the entire thing. They had my back the entire time until the police got there. At first they didn't want to call the police because I guess in Italy, unless somebody's dead, police won't come, which kind of makes sense. But it was really confusing for me because there were so many people speaking. There was a family that came from around the corner. There was the family of the kid. The kid must have been 22. He looked like a total schmuck, didn't care, was laughing. I think it was just nerves. I'm not gonna be a judge of character based on that, but he wasn't taking it very seriously. His parents are yelling at me saying it's my fault, and I'm just I can't even think straight at this point. So the couple behind me kind of takes the reins of the situation and was really helping me out. We called the insurance company, we called the car company, we called the police. I called my cousin who's there speaking in Italian over the phone. And then thank God the Airbnb owner who lives up on the hill came down. At this point, she's like, you're hurt. What's going on? I'm like, I have pain in my ribs, my shoulders still like this. So at this point, I have a little bit of a medical background because my mom was a PA. I kind of grew up in a hospital as a kid, and my brother had dislocated his shoulder before. I had dislocated my shoulder, and I also said, I think I have cracked ribs. I'm feeling this, and this isn't normal. There's so much pain, and almost immediate bruising. And my cousin was like, if you go to the hospital, you're gonna be there for a long time because the medical in Italy is just not the vibe, and it's not how it is in the US. You're not gonna be seen right away. So I'm like, okay, well, I can kind of move. I'm still a little hunched right now. I'll go after. I need to get this figured out. So I'm there for like 3 hours. It is beautiful. It was a beautiful, beautiful place to have an accident. And luckily the other person wasn't hurt. Nobody else was hurt. I had the great couple behind me that was helping me. We did a police report. You know, the family eventually realized like that it was their son's fault. But of course, like, parents were mouthing off to me because they want to protect their son. I totally understand it. So the couple's like arguing with the police, you know, I've taken pictures, they've taken pictures. There were no brake marks in the road. It's illegal to pass. This guy was going 80, hit me going 80 miles per hour and pushed my car almost 20 feet. Like, clearly it's not my fault, you know? But this whole situation was so terrifying because I'm in a foreign country and then it's hitting me like, dude, I could have died. This is absolutely crazy. I'm so lucky to be alive right now. And I don't want to get emotional about it, but being in that place where I was so raw and I had, like, all my emotions were coming out, and I just realized I'm like, I could be dead right now. And it was a horrible feeling because I didn't have anybody there that was there with me. And the first person I go to text, I'm like, is this appropriate for me to be texting this person? Which was my ex, Joey, you know? And I just wish I had somebody who was there with me and for me and was there to like help me through it. I had my cousin, I had the Airbnb person, but it was just so scary to be in a foreign country and have this near-death experience. And you know, I know it sounds dramatic, but I'm really not being dramatic. It was terrifying, like, to just see like the rocks and the cars and, you know, people looking by and the police and the telephone pole. I'm like, this could have gone so much worse. I thank God that I was wearing my seatbelt, that I was going to speed limit, I had my blinker on, I wasn't looking at my phone, and that I was as present as possible. But there are crazy people on the road. Like, these types of accidents happen all the time. You never know. In the blink of an eye, your life could completely change, and that almost happened for me. And it's terrifying that almost happened. But I'm really lucky to be here. I am really lucky to Chinzia, her name was, and her family, the Airbnb owners. They took care of me. They actually, after I went to the hospital, which I ended up having a dislocated shoulder, which is still healing right now. I did have a cracked rib, which is still healing. I can't do certain workouts and certain movements, but I'm a lot better. They took care of me. They had me over for dinner. It was amazing. I had my friends come up and visit from Milan and stay for the weekend, and we all kind of chilled out. The Airbnb is beautiful. I'm going to show that in case you guys are ever there. Please, please, please rent her Airbnb. Her family is so amazing and so accommodating. It is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. But it was just really crazy to me to have that experience, and it really kind of centered me over the past couple months. Like, it was just scary, you know, whenever you're in that situation. You never think it's gonna happen, and then it happens, and I really believe it changed my life, you know. It was just an entirely terrifying experience that I pray that will never happen again and will never happen to any of you. Because even now I feel like I'm having weird flashbacks when I'm driving. I hear a noise, I freak out, I like, you know, I jerk when I'm driving if there's somebody too close, and I had never been like that before. So now I feel like I'm uber conscious of what's around me. I'm trying my hardest to never look at my phone, to always have my blinker on, to always have my seatbelt on, and I definitely encourage you guys to do the same, because you just never know what's going to happen. Sometimes these things are out of your control, and it's the people around me. And I'm happy that the other person, you know, was completely okay, and I'm really grateful that they're safe and they're fine. The rental company was amazing. They were super helpful. They got me into a new car, a big SUV, which was great. And also, this was the first time that I got the full insurance on a car. I have never gotten full insurance in my life. You know, when you're renting a car, you can choose, like, you know, if you want minimum coverage, no coverage, maximum coverage. But this was the first time that I got, I think it was a mistake on their end, because I 1000% would have never paid for full coverage, and I was fully covered. I didn't owe a dime, and it wasn't my fault. I'm sure they did their own internal investigation, because they took like my passport and all my information, and, you know, I sent pictures of the car and everything. But yeah, it was just a crazy, crazy, crazy experience that I still feel I have like lingering emotions and feelings from. Like, I still sometimes get choked up about it. It was just scary. It was just really, really scary. And I'm happy that I'm finally able to share this story with you guys, because I don't know, I just haven't been able just to sit down and talk about it recently. I feel like it happened, but it also didn't happen. I feel like it happened a long time ago. I don't know, it was just really traumatic on me and my body. Like 1 to 2 months afterwards, I ended up having to come back to America because I wasn't able to film what I was going to film, so I am going back in a couple weeks to film that project. But my body like was completely changed. Like even now, like I am seeing a chiropractor. I'm actually seeing a chiropractor tomorrow here in town in Montana, but my body aches all the time. My back hurts, my side still hurts, my shoulder hurts. Like I can't lift weights the way I used to. So I think I'm still, with the help of the chiropractor, kind of getting over that trauma in my body and that pain. So that's also something to be aware of. Like if you're ever in an accident or anything, if you hurt yourself at work or you're lifting too heavy or something, like your body holds on to that trauma and that pain in different ways. So it's really important to address it. And these are not things I would normally address. I'd be like, oh, I was in a car accident. Sure. Okay, I'm fine now. But that's not the case. There are lingering issues in my body, so I'm still working that out. But I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be able to share this story with you guys and tell you about it. And just, you know, be careful if you're on the road, especially if you're in a foreign country and you're not, you know, completely thorough with the language. Life can truly change in the blink of an eye. But yeah, I don't hold on to any resentments towards the other person. It is what it is. We all make stupid decisions and mistakes on the road and in life, and it just happened. And I'm just, at the end of the day, I'm just grateful that I'm alive and that I'm okay. And that I'm still gorgeous, you know what I mean? Even with the mustache. But the shoulder is much better. I'm still in a little bit of pain, like I said, but you know, hopefully in a couple months, I'll be good to go, babes. That is the story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I mean, it's scary, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was entertaining for you. But yeah, be careful. Take care of yourself, take care of your friends, check up on people. And if something happens, make sure to be present, feel what you gotta feel, and go to the emergency room after, because you never know what happened. I'm very glad that I went, even though I had to wait a long time. But yeah, I love you guys so much. That is the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, make sure to leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you next week with a brand new video. I still don't have an outro, so yes, this is the outro. Bye!